Everybody, how you doing? Of course, this is Dave Nassy here with Next Level Guitar, and what we're going to do today is we're going to take you through the thought process of working with a jam track. This track is in C minor. I'm going to be playing over a C minor, an A flat, and a B flat chord. That's going to be primarily what's in the progression. Let's break this down and let's go ahead and get into it. Now, as I said, we're in C minor, so the first thing that I'm going to chip away at, and the first thing that I usually think about, is the comfort that comes from the pentatonic scale. Just like all you other guitar players out there, that's a really important thing. It's kind of a home base for a lot of players because so many of these great licks that we learn, be it in other songs and techniques that you learn, are pretty centered around some of those classic rock sounds. Pentatonic scales get you those sounds. So let's break these down in C minor so we can see what I'll be working with, and then I'll show you some of the licks we'll be even using at the same time. So the first position, pentatonic, let's play that thing. We're going to start off in the 8th fret. I'll descend that, of course. Now for fingerings of playing scales, by all means you can use your first finger to your 3rd finger. When we get into some of these licks, a lot of times we're going to be doing that because we're going to be bending with this finger, and we want to just make sure that we have the best grip that we can and therefore the best torque on that string, right? So the second form of our pentatonic is going to start from the 11th fret. So that's going to be really useful, and I'm not going to go in order at the moment of the pentatonics. We have 5, right? But I'm going to shoot to the last one and I'll explain why. This is going to start here. So my thought process when I solo pentatonically is a pretty simple one. You can hear I'm kind of creating some groove, and I'm just going to use these notes and keep coming back to them. I'm going to take this thought process of this C, and I'm going to move my 3rd finger down to the 8th position. Because within that other form of the pentatonic scale, I get the exact same notes. It's more aggressive, right? I can grab on these things, but my rhythmic phrases can all be treated the same, and I'm playing the same notes. So an example would be... And I'm just recreating the same thing in a lower place. As all guitar players do, we have our favorite licks within the pentatonic scale, and they can consist of, you know, any of those cool core kind of ideas. Some other ones that you might even refer to sometimes. You'll see me do this a lot. I wear this one out quite a bit. But I am going to get into new scale positions. So let's talk about those. Now I'm in the 3rd form of my C minor pentatonic. So I gotta know where my C's are, and within that scale position, I'm gonna notice those. I have one here, and then I have one here. And I'm gonna resolve to those. What notes can I bend to those? And that's gonna resolve me, and that's really fantastic. But check this out. I have, from here now, I can go, that's going to be the same as all the stuff I just did. If I want to take it further, I can now do that. Let's point out the scale position that I'm using of my pentatonic. I like to first demonstrate that, okay, I have quickly things that are very familiar, I haven't gone to the lower octave yet, but I can do the same thing, right? If I have here my C, I can go down here. And I can do everything that I just did lower. I've got it mapped pentatonically in a pretty basic way, but I've got my first position followed by what is often referred to as extensions. We have same kind of thing, just moving it up in its higher octave. So that covers me in ways that I'm comfortable and stylistic within the pentatonic scale. I'm going to use this right away and I'm going to jam to the track. So that way you can see just with this basic set of information how I'll do this. So I'm going to play some examples for you now. By the way that I demonstrated over the track, I did everything that I mentioned. I was moving low to high, I was keeping things kind of rhythmical as I was going through the patterns, and this right away is a platform for you to get lost in, because by knowing the scale shapes and moving them around in maybe a key that you're unfamiliar with, right? Sometimes that's kind of the case. We get into a different spot, but you need jam tracks, and that's why these are awesome, because you play for days and you can just work out your ideas. And this is all up to you to grow as a player by this simple concept that we've started. And I'm going to what I feel is kind of my Clapton-y type zone. I love that area. That's a really cool phrase to know in any pentatonic shape. I abuse it all the time. Let's take a look at that. So I go like this. Now this lick right here is tricky and stumps a lot of people because there's more pick notes than you think. Pick, 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 hammer on, pull off, pick. I start my picking motions with an upstroke. One thing I think that I really focus on, we spend a lot of times working on these techniques and learning how to, play things quickly and all this stuff, and some of these things are pretty, they take some time. They're pretty hard to do. But ultimately what you want to think of is the effect that it creates when you build your technique. Not so much the fact that you're maybe playing a mess load of notes really fast, but the overall tone that it creates and the scope of sound that it shapes within your track. That's really important, and that's what gets you out of that realm of sounding just like a shred guy that's playing too many notes for the sake of trying to show off, I think. That's really, to be honest, that's the way I look at that. So when I'm up here doing this, I kind of hear the whole effect, and it's resolving to a C, and I can take that immediately. So let's take that same idea and let's move that pattern down into the first position of the pentatonic, and we'll talk about that exact same kind of picking pattern. And I'm going to use this here off the B string again. Now notice it's played a little bit differently. I have to accommodate my scale shape, but that's a pattern that I like to gravitate to in a blues setting. I think it works really great, and I can do this in any position of the pentatonic. Let's go up to the next one up here. Let's go to the fourth form. Those are really fun to play and musical in a bluesy context. Again, I'm thinking of a blues approach, but I'm rocking out a little bit. I'm trying to vamp it up, trying to get a little bit technical so I'm not just playing straight blues licks, but something that has some acceleration to it and can resolve really nicely. So there you have it, everybody. A nice chance for you to get comfortable doing some of these different things. And the way that I would start it again, start with that pentatonic scale and map out that pentatonic scale and show yourself how many times things can really repeat. And it gets easy that way when you kind of map it across the fretboard in octaves, thinking that we play something, we move to a new location, and we're playing the same notes, but maybe with a different feel. From there, you can bring in your diatonic scales when you get comfortable, even comfortable with some of those picking patterns, right? And from there, we incorporate arpeggios and octaves and bends, and all of these things will lend themselves to developing your own style and tone and working on things like vibrato and expressing yourself with these tracks. So get lost in it, everybody. Have a good time. My name is Dave Nasty, and I'll see you next time.